One of the things that we love about Showit is always updating, adding new things, creating new features. And one that was recently released is the buttons feature. So this is something that I absolutely love. Before, when you did buttons, you would have to have a text box on top of a shape box for whatever shape the button was, or have lines for underline, whatever it might be. But now we can actually create buttons in our design settings, have specific styles with hovers, add them to the page, and then completely customize them on the page as well. So this is a very similar setup to what you would see on something like Squarespace, where you can have the primary, secondary, and tertiary buttons. We can have general settings that we have for different color themes. But what I love about this is you're able to individually customize each button once it's already on the page too. So the design settings that you have are great. It can give you the set things that you start with, but just like any text or colors that you put in your design settings, once it's on the page, you're able to edit it further. So you don't need the code like you do on Squarespace if you want to have a fourth option, or you want something to look different on one specific canvas, but you want it to stay the same for the rest of the theme. So I'm going to dive in to how to actually set up the buttons in the first place in your design settings, and then what it looks like when it's actually on the page, and how you can customize the buttons once they are there. So the first thing you want to do with these buttons is set up the default settings. So if we go to design settings, we now have a buttons tab here with our site styles and with our fonts. So we can come in here and we have two different options. We have a primary button, and then down here we have a secondary button. So we see both of them here. We'll also have a normal option and a hover option, so we can customize both of these right off the bat. So if we start with the primary button first, we can decide if we want a color button or if we want a button that has a gradient to it and where that gradient starts and ends, or just the solid color itself. So I'm going to switch this one to blue. We can also adjust how the spacing is on the button itself. So we can either have these linked or we can unlink them, and then we'll be able to go back and forth. So if you know that you want buttons that are a little more thin, or if you know you want buttons that have a lot of extra padding and are a little bit thicker, we can come in here and adjust that as well. Next, we have the text color. So we can come in here and swap it out. So maybe I wanted this to be light blue, so it's kind of the blue on blue. We can also adjust the font. So if there is something that you want, we can go through all of the different fonts that we have saved in our design settings and pick between those. And then again, we have text size, so we can come over here, adjust the text size. All of these too, we have the 3 dots option here where we can split mobile and desktop. So if there are differences that you want between the two, super easy to just click those and swap it out. Now, if you wanted a border around your buttons, we can set that here. So we can set the actual width of the border as well as the color of it, if we did want to have something like that on the buttons, as well as the letter spacing. Now, obviously for these, most of the time, your font for your button is going to be the same as your subhead font. So you want to make sure that if you have any letter spacing, it matches both of those, just so that there's the consistency throughout the entire design. Then we have letter case. So if we want something uppercase, normal, lowercase, capitalized, so regardless of how it's typed in, it will show up the same way across the board. The opacity, if we did want to turn it down a little bit, we have it there that we can adjust. And then we have the corners. So depending on if you want rounded ones, we can do kind of like the actual circle. We can do square buttons. If we do have the corner radius, we can come over here and adjust it as well. And we can adjust individual corners if you did want to have some, maybe one top and bottom are corners and the other two are rounded. So we can come in here and adjust it individually or have them all together. Now, once we have the primary one done, we can come down to the secondary one, go through all of the same exact settings, decide if we want it to look the same, adjust it. For example, this one is a transparent one with a border, so maybe you want one that is filled and one that's not filled, so we can kind of adjust those two between here, go through all of the same settings. Then we can flip over to the hover option. So once we're on the hover option, you'll notice that it defaults to only having a couple different options here, but if we click this customize, we'll be able to see all of the different settings that are in this section right here. So you can go through and add specific customizations depending on what you're looking for the hover. But in this case, say we just want the background color to change, maybe we'll make it orange, and then let's go ahead and adjust the text color. Maybe we make the text color white. So now on hover, this is what the primary button is going to look like. Again, we can come down here to the secondary one, do the same thing, hover, adjust. what the hover on the secondary button looks like as well. So once we have all of these set up like we want, we can go ahead and hit save. And then we can come to our page and we can click on button, and we have the button right here. So we can come up to button styles and you'll get the option to customize the same exact styles that we did in the design settings. So if I click on this, I'm going to go through all of the same settings that we already have. Again, I can do the same thing on hover and go between the two. So it's super quick and easy to actually do that. We can also switch between secondary. So say I actually want this one. Okay, we have this, perfect, but maybe I want a different fill type for this one. So I'm going to give this a background color, and then maybe I'm going to remove the border. So we'll go ahead and take that off. So now we have this as the regular button, and when we come to hover, we have a solid one with no border. So we can come in here and customize anything that we want that we would see in the design settings. So every button can be different if you want everything to be different, or if you have maybe 3 styles of buttons, or if you have certain ones where you have one style and it works really great, but on certain colors, maybe we need a different hover color or anything like that. You can add the button and then come over here to button styles and customize every single thing that you can in the settings. So it makes it really flexible. Plus with this, I love that we now can customize the hover and have things be multiple hover effects. So before we had the text on top of a shape, so we could have a hover effect on the text, we could have a hover effect on the shape, but they wouldn't change together. If you wanted that to happen, it would have to be code. Now we can have that happen. We can come up here super quick and easy and actually do it. So now we can have this where if we have the button, we have an outline button with no fill with solid text, and we can come in here, update the hover settings to have that background. Now when we hover, we get it changed there. So this is so great. It's going to be so useful. Hopefully you're able to play around, do a bunch of really cool things with it, but I'm super excited about this new feature, and it's definitely going to make adding buttons to the site significantly easier. I am truly so happy about this. I think this is going to make developing sites, building things out, not having so many elements to do one thing way easier. So I'm super excited to see what this looks like and how it continues to grow. With this too, it does go to show that Showit wants to take feedback and requests and make the platform better. So if there's ever anything that you want to see on Showit, or you want to see how it do, anything like that, be sure to reach out to Showit and ask for it. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's in the works. But I'm super excited for this one, and I can't wait to see what they come out with next. If you want to know more about any other Showit features or how to make your site even better, drop a comment below with any questions that you have, and we'll go over some tutorials on how to really make your site stand out and do some really cool things on Showit, most of the time without having to use any code at all. As always, if you found this helpful, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one.